Well, it's 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, coming to you live from Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, 60 miles up the Potomac River from our nation's capital. Welcome to the Targeting Metabesity Conference. We are thrilled that you're with us, and I can't tell you how excited we are to have Joan Mannick with us today at the center, and Thomas Seoh, director of the conference. So it's been just an amazing rush to the finish to get this conference put together. But Thomas, you've pulled it off.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm reminded of sitting here a year ago in a virtual Metabesity 2021, and we're very excited to show you the things that have happened. We have sessions in the rest of the day and the next 3 days. And I don't know, Zan, whether you want to bring Joan into the conversation because she's new. She's not unknown at all to the audience, of course.
But Joan, you are an amazing figure in the neuroscience field. It's such an honor to have you. Tell us about coming to Harpers Ferry, and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. So I have come to West Virginia to Harpers Ferry, which happens to be beautiful. Never been here before, but highly recommend anyone coming and visiting. But I came because this is actually my favorite conference in the aging and longevity space. And the reason it's my favorite is many of our conferences tend to have the same group of basic scientists and biotech founders and entrepreneurs talking, and we're not bringing a wider group into this conversation. And Metabesity really is doing that. As you'll see in the program, Zan and Thomas have got this amazing group of big pharma, top level big pharma people, top level FDA people, top level academic people. And these are the people we need to have included in our conversations if we really want to make advances in our field and get new therapies that are going to extend health span. So I'm really excited to be here, and I hope all of you share my enthusiasm for the conference.
Wow, Jen, thank you so much for that. The only sad note is that we don't have Larry Steinman with us, founder of the conference, going back to London.
Our inaugural
in
2017.
Larry hit the ground at Heathrow just an hour before we went live.
Back in 2017.
Yeah, when we had conferences.
He walked in off the red eye.
Yeah. So Larry has been an amazing part of this conference. His Rolodex has contributed to a lot of our premier speakers. So it's too bad we don't have Larry with us.
Well, tell him why.
Yeah, Thomas, go ahead.
He's receiving honors in Buenos Aires, so he really wanted to be here. But Zan, it's a good reminder. This is the 5th edition of Metabesity, and I think it's interesting to think back on what has happened to the field. I mean, the last 20 years or so in geroscience have been exploding in terms of developments. But I would say that there's been a bit of a sea change for me anyway, watching the space. I guess there's a little bit of telling tales a little bit, but 5 years ago, it was hard to get the attention of big pharma, for example. The concerns about the lack of a regulatory pathway, the medical practice, disease by disease, the marketing and sales and so forth are all organized in a way that's very much disease by disease. And now it seems that we have a lot of attention in pharma, but also in big food and in big data and AI and so forth. So we're very much looking forward to understanding where things are going to be headed.
So true. And then there was the little thing of the pandemic that came along. And Joan, my gosh, you really are in effect targeting a means of directly improving risk of viral infections. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, I think we've spent a lot of time in drug development focus on fixing the function of the aging heart or the aging brain or aging bones. And we haven't really thought about, fixing the function of the aging immune system. And the COVID pandemic has highlighted this very dysfunctional immune system as we get older, which is why we get more severe COVID-19. And my group, Tornado Therapeutics, which is part of Cambrian, has been is looking to see, can we improve the function of the aging immune system as a way to prevent viral respiratory tract infections, COVID, and many other viruses that cause respiratory tract infections, as a way to extend healthy longevity in a sort of different way that we haven't thought of before. So,
And Joan, you've actually, at the very least, demonstrated proof of concept, if not very strong evidence that you can, using a root mechanism, actually improve immune function, or at least show that one of the manifestations of improved immune function is improved.
exactly. So we can see that immune function that it improves. And I think we've had lessons learned. Once you've improved immune function, what is the right endpoint in clinical trials to demonstrate that improvement? That's something we're still working on. We've had bumps in the road, but a nice learning curve that I hope is going to help move the field forward.
Yeah, well, talk about endpoints, Thomas. We do have a session coming up on endpoints.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about the plan of the day.
Sure.
After this session, we're going to introduce our keynote speaker, Ken Dykewald. Following that, we have a couple of scientific sessions, breaking scientific sessions. Luigi Ferrucci of the NIA is going to be talking about longitudinal phenotypic markers of aging, which is fascinating because we always hear about the molecular diagnostic side of it. Then that's followed by what's after that, the mitochondria and the integrated stress response, Doug Wallace.
Doug Wallace.
And Ana Maria Cuervo will not be able to join us probably, and we'll mention that at the time of the conference. Hyung Dong Ryu. And Luigi, I think, will be able to help out there. And then in the afternoons, and I think this is your big session, super session on evidence, the sufficiency of evidence in regulatory development. Maybe you want to speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, now this is going to be, I think, a very interesting discussion. This is to address the need for regulatory pathways that can make products like Joan's available to people faster than otherwise happens with our conventional regulatory pathways. And so a lot more to be said about that, but this is a very important area of interest, and we're going to dive right into it.
And then you have a second half of it, I think, when you're talking about biomarkers and clinical endpoints directly.
That's right. We've got an excellent group, which I'm proud to be a part of. I won't be participating in the discussion, but this will be a distinguished group that's right in the middle of developing biomarkers and endpoints, clinical endpoints for assessing and ultimately approving products for health span indications.
And then we'll have a session on national policy, whether there should be a national policy on healthy longevity, and if so, what should be some of the elements. And then we'll actually have the first day of presentation of some superb abstracts. We've had some amazing abstracts that have been submitted. They're prize winners that'll be presented tomorrow afternoon, but this afternoon we'll have the honorable mentions. So some of these young researchers will have a chance to come up and describe their work for you. And then please do join us for the convivium, the social hour, which is, I think, in this sort of the 6 o'clock hour, 6 to 7 or so, where you can join in as audience in the conference with hopefully as many of the speakers as we can, and we'll have a chance to just socialize in the Zoom format.
And Joan, you're doing your fair share of moderation and participation in these sessions. Thrilled about that.
Thank you. Happy to participate.
Yeah, but the immunosenescence panel tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, very appropriately so. Well, gosh, very exciting.